Okay, well, welcome to episode 14, the episode that a lot of people probably never thought was going to happen, myself included. If you haven't already heard, Mike's left and he's gone to work for Nash now, leaving me in a bit of a one-man band situation. Now, unfortunately, there just wasn't a budget there to replace Mike at the moment, so I've had to learn a few skills myself, and indeed I've actually put this show together completely on my own. The filming and the editing side of things, I was literally shown the basic ropes of that sort of 4 or 5 days ago, and in that time I've been putting in a lot of hours to try and get this show polished off and ready to get out for this Sunday. So I apologise that it's a little bit rough around the edges compared to what you're used to. Obviously, I'm sure as time progresses I'll get a bit better with it. However, still lots of great content on there, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Another big change, we're actually moving back to being free on YouTube, and the reason for this is, well, there's a few different reasons. The subscriptions were okay, and I'm sure if I would have pushed it and sold my soul to social media, I could have got that up to a couple of thousand within a year and been making some alright money out of it. However, I feel that as a platform that's got 50 to 100,000 viewers each month, that's a platform that I can do a lot of good with. And one of the main inspirations for starting Carp Angle was because I wanted to push the benefits of fishing for our mental health. Mental health is something that a lot of people have been struggling with. Well, obviously, it's an ongoing thing, but with COVID, etc., there's a lot more people that have been suffering as a result of it. But aside from that, suicide numbers are just shockingly high at the moment. Had a friend of mine take his own life last week. So if there's anything we can do to help push the benefits of fishing, get more people out on the bank, give them something to think about, get them out in nature, then hopefully that can help people. We had lots and lots of messages before from people who'd actually given up fishing, or they just hadn't been for a long time, and then they were inspired to get the buzz back after watching Carp Angle. So like I say, I feel like I can do a lot of good with it on YouTube, but whilst there's a paywall there, obviously you're not going to be able to tap into those people to help in their lives. Also, there's other little bits and pieces, some great information that I feel that we can get across to you, which might not even necessarily help yourself, but you should be able to pass that information on to others and potentially help them in their lives too. So with regards to supporting Carp Angle, you can do that as we were before with the old PayPal donations. If you want the link for that, if you click on our home screen where the banner is, in the right hand corner it says support Carp Angle. You click on that, it will take you through to PayPal. Or alternatively, if you just go onto PayPal, our PayPal address is thecarpangle@gmail.com. Other people have asked for bank details because they want to set up a direct debit. So if you want those, I'll chuck them on the screen now. Sort code, account number, lovely jubbly. Really appreciate any support you can offer going forward. Obviously, I'd love to keep improving the show, but to improve the show, I'm going to have a bit of a budget to work with. I've got an awesome cameraman who's offered to work for me, but obviously I'm going to need to be able to pay him. He has got 30 odd years experience in the game, making films and TV shows and everything else, and he's got the best equipment that you could have. So yeah, if I can have enough of a budget to pay him, then obviously the show is going to get a hell of a lot better. Aside from this, anyone who contributes £5 or more will go into a draw each month, and we'll have some awesome prizes to give away. Aside from that, I'm also going to be doing some tutorial stroke social sessions. I've had quite a few people ask about those, so that's another way that I can obviously help to fund this project. So if that's of interest, drop me an email at thecarpangle@gmail.com and I'll let you know some details. Right, apologies for the super long intro. Let's get on with the show. Well, you joined me on a pretty dreary old day, to be honest with you. It's a very grey, bit of drizzle. The leaves are starting to fall, and obviously the nights are starting to draw in. So yeah, there's definitely a taste of autumn in the air, which is a little bit sad, isn't it? Because it feels like I've been cheated out of a summer this year. But Never mind, you can't book the weather. For this feature, I've come up to catch up with one of my best mates in the game, and that is Adam Penning. I've known Adam for many, many years. In fact, we used to work side by side in the offices at Corda, and we used to have a proper giggle. Since then, I've kept in contact with him. If I catch a fish or if he catches one, you know, we quite often send each other a little video or tell each other what we're up to, and yeah, it's always nice to keep in touch with him. However, I don't get to see him enough. At the moment, it seems to be like a yearly occasion now. So yeah, I've been really looking forward to come down, spend a bit of time with him, chew the fat. What I'd really like is to give you an insight into the levels of effort that Adam goes into, and you know, to stay tuned in with the lake whilst he's there. He is an absolute machine. I don't actually know any other anglers that get as tuned in as Adam does and puts the amount of effort in that he does. So hopefully we can get a little taste of that during the feature. As well as that, I've also been invited to fish the day ticket lakes next door. So at night time, I'm going to go over there and have a little dabble myself, let Adam chill around here. But yeah, as I say, he's been on here a little while now. He had a stupendous season last year. If you want to hear more about that, then check out the Reflections piece on YouTube. Well worth a watch. He's a brilliant storyteller, and he caught some absolutely epic carp. But for now, let's go and catch up with him, see how he's getting on, and get out of this rain. Well, Mr. Penning, lovely to see you, mate.
Likewise, my friend. It's been too long.
As always.
You've been a busy boy, ain't you? Monumental effort, mate, getting that off the ground. There's so much positive feedback. People are loving what you're doing with Carp Angle. So, yeah, very, very proud of you, mate. Like a proud father.
Cheers, and yeah, well, thanks for inviting us down here. Well, me down here. I don't know who the us is now.
It's us now, isn't it?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about where we are.
So we're up in Northamptonshire, and we're sort of between, well, I don't know geographically, we're sort of near Wellingborough, a lake called Grendon Lakes, which is a complex of, I don't know how many lakes, 6 or 7 or 8, probably 8 or 9 lakes even. And one of them, the sort of jewel in the crown, I shouldn't say that because it sounds a bit disparaging to the others. There's loads of lovely lakes here, but the one that I've been fishing since June last year is the Syndicate Lake, which is where we are now, which is about 15 acres and home to about 35 old carp and a couple of real big ones. The biggest one in the lake's gone 56 pound in the past, incredible looking common, and several others like amazing commons. A few mirrors, you know, there's a lot more commons than mirrors, but the mirrors are pretty special as well, but there's not as many of them. But that's where we are. I've fished last night, got here yesterday, and it's actually rained all day today, which apart from this little break now, so you got your camera out, but it's a nice little welcome break. It's middle of September now, 14th of September, and my birthday tomorrow, so you're going to go and get a couple of cream cakes from somewhere, aren't you? And yeah, this has been the sort of focus of my fishing, and it's been hard to sort of wrench me away from this for the last 12 months really. I've been on a sort of relentless pursuit, giving me all this grey hair. At the moment, I'm on about 13 consecutive trips where I've hooked fish, which is, when I think about it, is mind-blowing to me because it is a low stock lake, but I'm sort of feel like I'm hopefully getting closer and closer to Tyson. I don't know, he might be my nemesis. So there's, out of those 35 carp in the lake, I caught one last night, and that was my 71 fish. So obviously a lot of repeats in there. But, you know, some incredible fish which are still, you know, 2 weeks ago I caught one that I hadn't caught before. In fact, no one else had caught for 2.5 years, and it was just appeared in my net, this fish called the long common, uncaught for 2.5 years, 44.14, you know, and that's like, that's the serious shit. That's as special as it gets for, you know, it's remarkable, you know, and you look at it in your net, and the first thing I do is I look up at the stars, and I caught it at night, and I just think, why me? Why here? Why now? It's a bit of a lyric from a Pulp song, actually, but it's, yeah, you think, well, what has just happened? It's in my net, this thing that's didn't even hardly fit in the net because it's called the Long Common. But so yeah, there's been a lot of highlights, but I have been through some real hard patches. But you know, I was going to say, as you know, you just knuckle down and get through them, but you don't seem to go through any hard patches. You just got the knack permanently.
I don't know about that. Awesome, right, well, obviously we've got 2 nights ahead of us and plenty of chewing the fat to do.
Yep.
I'm massively looking forward to that. But for now, cup of tea and watch the lake, I reckon.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I'll get it on. Did look like one over there, you know. This is like yesterday, you know. A lot of the activity was really, really subtle, and you could easily think it was big roach or something. That wasn't. And as the day went on yesterday, the shows got more and more obvious sliders. You know, what went from being possibly big roach, which was actually carp, turned into being where the carp are, and I think it's going on now, but it's a lot further across, so I'm going to wind in and go around there with a bucket and stand and have a good look, because it's in front of a very popular swim, one that I've hardly ever fished since I've been a member here. I've only done 1 night in it, but it is very popular, and there's several guys due to turn up this afternoon. So yeah, you've got to box clever. I don't want to miss an opportunity, so I'm going to wind in and get round there for a look.
So mate, anything to report?
Well, it's been a slow old day, and which is, you know, some days up here are like that. Some days you wouldn't believe there was 35 with the amount of shows you see. It's just incredible. But other days like today, it's been very, very scarce, very, very quiet, very, very little happening. A bit of roach activity. The pike are grouping them up and smashing into them in a couple of places. You know, it's very much a chess match on such a busy venue, so I just went across to have a look at that swim over there and stood there for, I don't know, best part of an hour, or quite felt like a long time, long enough to see if there was anything there. Didn't see anything at all, and then at the latter end of my stint standing there with my bucket in case there was something to go on, a guy turned up, wanted to go in there, so he's gone in there. And it was one of the reasons I wanted to check it out, because there's a lovely guy, the same guy goes in the same swim every single week, and it can be a good swim, but it just means that if you don't seize those opportunities, you know that swim's out of the game for 48 hours minimum, because he never moves. It's the same with another swim over there, same guy loves that swim and he goes in there. So if you've got designs on getting into one of them plots, you've got to be on it. But anyway, we are where we are. I think I know where the fish are. I'm just waiting till dusk. I think I'm not actually too far from them. Might require a move to the swim next door and a cast a little bit further, but yeah, I'm not too bothered by where I am. I think this will be all right. We'll see. I don't know. Just put his head out. Look. See that?
Yeah, man.
That was a carp, 100%. That's actually only, that's 20 yards right of the right-hand rod. Happy days. Sorry, right, let's do it. It's all come alive now. Over the next couple of hours, they'll probably start rolling. We'll hopefully get 3 rods exactly where they are. What a buzz, what a buzz. Right where I was looking, sorry, mate.
Yeah, so you mentioned you had a 33 and you just kind of brushed over it last night. Yeah, can you tell us a story about that, and obviously getting here yesterday?
Yeah, I didn't mean to sound like I was brushing over a Grendon carp, because you should never, I wasn't doing that, but I didn't want anyone, certainly wouldn't want anyone to think I was doing that, because they're very special fish and each one is proper hard earned. But yeah, so that I got here yesterday afternoon. I had a full-on morning writing my carpology diary, doing loads of admin, social media, all the things that we both have to do endless amounts of, and answering all my messages, doing all my email, and just like man, fitting a Joe Wicks in amongst that as well, of course, you know, because I knew I was coming on camera. No, I ain't joking. So yeah, so I didn't get it till late, which you know, obviously, you know better than anyone, getting there at first light is always the thing. But here at Grendon, first light is very often not the thing, and so often, even like today, you get up before it gets light and you see nothing all day, and you end up feeling shattered for nothing. And then they start showing at 3 in the afternoon. Anyway, so I got here at 4 o'clock and parked up over on the far corner, did a lap, had a good look. I mean, it was bright. Yesterday was 22 degrees, and it was, you know, it was nice. It was bright, warm, sunny weather, and I was sure I better find them somewhere. So I looked in all the places I know they get when there is a bit of sunshine, Polaroids, lots of tree climbing, and didn't see a fish anywhere, even in the most secretive of little caverns where I look, and I quite often see 1 or 2, nothing. So it appeared to me that the fish were all out in open water somewhere. Wasn't quite sure, and I mean, quite often in those situations I end up looking and looking until 10 or 11 at night. Sometimes you just keep looking until you find them, but luckily I found them within an hour. I was stood there and I saw a little a shimmering sort of skitter of water, which I thought at first was a roach, like flipping its tail. And so I carried on looking at the area, and it was an area where the pike had been herding the roach, and I knew there was a bit going on. And actual fact, where the pike had herded the roach, I saw the carp smash into the fry last week, and it was the same sort of area. And I thought, all right, that's interesting. And so I stood looking, and after about 20 minutes or so, I saw a small one of the younger stocky fish from a couple of years went over, and I thought, oh man, right. But it was touch and go whether it was in the water of the swim that I was stood in, and I decided it wasn't. It was closer to one on the far side. So I walked around there, stood there, and then within half an hour saw another one. So that was it. Go and get the van, get the gear round. But then rather than spend the next hour with my head in a rucksack, missing a potential short window of activity, because it could all be done and dusted in 20 minutes, half hour, I just stood there and watched and watched and watched until it got to about, I watched for about 2 hours without doing anything. Could see where they was most comfortable, because the thing is, when you cast at these fish, they stop showing. So if you want to know, so if you see a fish showing and you cast to it, then you won't see any more usually, but that's only one rod sorted. So if I watch it for an hour or 2 hours, I know where the main nucleus areas of activity are, so I can go left rod, middle rod, right hand rod. So all 3 rods are in areas where I've seen fish, which I wouldn't be able to do if I just did a cast where I saw a fish. Hopefully that makes sense. But as it turned out, that I managed to, with the very first rod that I was about to cast, I was just walked to the front of the swim, and I was thinking, right, okay, I'm thinking where I've dropped all these red pins in the map of the swim where I've seen the most activity. And I'm thinking right there, and then one rolled just to the right of there, about 65 yards, and it was a good fish. Right when I had the rig in my hand. Oh. So I put that on that, and it landed really nice. It was on a spot that I knew and I fished before, and then put the other 2 rods in, and then unusually, because they can react very negatively or adversely to pressure on here because they see so much pressure, they carried on showing afterwards. They stopped for maybe half hour, it went quiet, but then they come back on, and there was sliders and heads all across this zone. It was monumental. One of the most exciting evenings that it probably isn't. I mean, I probably had 50 evenings like that on here where I've been lucky enough to be on them and seeing that, but every time it's incredible, isn't it? And I was just watching them. There was one on the right, over the right hand rod, and one just beyond the middle rod, and
adrenaline was flowing.
Yeah, it was, mate. Yeah, because I had a really strong feeling last night that I was going to meet him, the one. About 2 hours into dark, the left hand rod, which was the first one that I cast, onto the fish, the gift of the cast, if you like, pulled up and carried on going. And I'm into a fish, and I just, every time I hook a fish on here, I can't believe I've hooked a fish. It's just like, oh shit, I've got one. Came away from the other 2 lines and kited round. Went a bit crazy down here, but then I netted it. Second attempt actually of netting it. And there's a massive explosion of water, and got this nice big fat mirror in the net, which went 33.6. And yeah, really pleased with that. And you know, I just, it is a fish that I caught last September, funnily enough. But every time you get a capture, you feel you are one more step closer to getting to where you want to be. And you can't allow repeat captures to put a downer on your day, because otherwise you ain't going to enjoy your season. Because the reality is that quite a lot of the ones I'm getting, not all, maybe half, 2/3 of them are fish that I've seen before, but they're lovely fish, and I feel lucky and grateful for everyone I'm lucky enough to catch. So yeah, that was it. Nothing else happened in the night. I had a couple of bleeps, but and then got up before it got light this morning, which is a bit more civilised in September, thank God. And yeah, been quiet all day today, but buzzing with confidence. I think I know where they are. I've just seen one show not far from the zone where I caught last night. So
Come on, Tyson. And not only that, birthday tomorrow.
it's my birthday tomorrow. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I fished on my birthday, but
Oh mate, let's hope the planets align.
well, that'd be a bizarre thing, wouldn't it? Might even be the same weight as my age.
Well, I think
28 pounder.
I don't know if it's still, I presume it is, but I came and photographed your last PB common, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Is that still your PB common?
Yeah, that was 52.1. Now, you did me some belting pictures of that, Joe. Yeah, that was October 2017, I think that was. So yeah, you've always been a good luck charm for me. You always give such good positive energy, so good things happen when the Joe Master is around. So yeah, we've got 2 nights to go. We've got a 3-night session this week. Done 1, got 2 to go, and yeah, I'm really buzzing. It's lovely to have your company down here as well, mate. So let's hope the universe provideth.
Come on, the universe.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right, be lucky then, mate.
What are you doing then?
Well, we haven't got a huge amount of light hours left, have
No.
we, with the nights drawing in, so I think I should probably go and have a little mooch around and see if I can work out a game plan on the lake next door.
I should let everyone know, Joe's going on the lake next door, because although you can have guesties on here, there's no doubt in my mind that he would only need 1 night on here and he'd catch Tyson, and I'd be on here next year.
Yeah,
so that's why he's relegated to the lake.
I couldn't do it to you either. Awesome. Right, I had a good look around both the lakes here. There's 2 different data lakes, Trinity and Lucy, I believe. I found fish on both of them. On the other lake, Lucy, I found probably 4 or 5 fish feeding in an area in open water. There's no one else on there. That was tempting, but then I came and had a look at Trinity, and this bit of water behind me here, there was like probably a 20 to 30 yard radius with about 10 different fizzes going on in it, and a couple of fish rolled, and then I could see one on the surface, so it just looked like it was game on here. Bosh. So I'm going to get 2 out as quickly as possible. I'm just going to ship them out with a pole, a couple of handfuls of mix, and hopefully we can get a quick bite, because I can imagine they're probably going to spook out of here quite quickly if I do get a bite. So looks like some stunning fish in here. I've had a little look on the website. That was the other thing that sort of leaned me more towards this lake, was there's more 30s in this lake, and some of them are really jet black, cracking old characters. So fingers crossed we can meet one of them. Let's get these rods out. It's losing light. Oh, another one. They're still about. Right, 2 rods are out with minimal disturbance. I'll be honest with you, they've already pushed out a little bit just with that from the the little bit of disturbance I made using the pole. Obviously quite spooky fish, but I mean, before I got here they were having an absolute party, a rave I'd say. It was going off out here. Oh, there's one just under the surface there. So yeah, they are still about. I haven't put a lot of bait in. hopefully there's a chance of something special. I've seen one that's probably a 30-pounder already, just out here, come right out. Mega exciting. Lovely little lake actually. You're not allowed to fish other sides. I think most of the time people are fishing across to the far margin. There's one literally just on the top there, but it's back out. Ooh, and another one. Oh, right, better get the rest of my kit set up. And hopefully might have an opportunity soon. Well, after about half hour of putting the rods out, it was obvious that the fish had moved out a bit, and they kept showing in this swim to the right of me. I even got one jumping out on film, which is a rarity. Anyway, so I moved one of the rods round, solid bag, flicked it out, dropped down lovely into the area. 5-10 minutes later, that was away. Felt like a good fish as well. I had it on for a good few minutes and then just, hook pulled. Sickening, really. Yeah, it's just one of them, isn't it? I could swear all day, but it's not going to achieve anything. But anyway, it's a good sign to get a bite that quickly. Obviously, we're losing the light now. There's also been a fish keep showing in the same vicinity out to my left. So I think I'm going to flick a rod out to that one as well. Because as I say, where I put the two rods initially, it's completely devoid of life now. So yeah, might be a chance of a bite there. But need some food as well. I've not really eaten a great deal today. What I'm mostly hoping for tonight, I don't even care if I don't catch. I really love Adam to catch that Tyson tonight. He's been really trying for that fish, and he's caught, you know, he's pretty modest about it, but I think he's caught pretty much all of them now. And yeah, probably lost the big one as well. So if he could get that one, it'd be so good. You know, after going through them all and going through all the motions, yeah, he fully deserves that. And what an epic result that'll be on his birthday as well. And obviously a mental result for me if I'm here to be able to capture it on film. So yeah, fingers crossed for Adam tonight. But I'm going to sign off now, and yeah, we'll see if anything happens during the night. Come on, the old dark, scaly ones. Well, I had an absolutely terrible sleep last night. For whatever reason, just couldn't drift off. I don't know if I had too much coffee yesterday. It was quite a warm night as well. Fish sploshing out everywhere. Must be a lot of carp in this lake. How I didn't get a bite in the night, I don't know. But anyway, about 5:30, I got bored of trying to sleep. Got up, made myself a coffee, sat there listening, and at 6 o'clock I had a bite on the right hand rod. Struck into it. It's kited around to the left. Picked up my left hand rod. Getting it in, and then about 10 yards out, the hook pops out. I guess it must have been where it was wrapped up in the other rod. It's just dislodged the hook. But I tell you what, the last 2 sessions I've been fishing, I've lost 5 fish now on the bounce. It's just ridiculous. I don't know what I've done. I'm sorry, universe. What did I do? Anyway, it's quite a quiet morning. It's been light now for about an hour. Hasn't been many bubblers. Kind of still half expecting one of these to go, but I'll probably give it another sort of hour or so, and then get round to see old birthday boy. Don't know how he's got on. Hopefully he's had one. Hopefully he's had the one. That would just be epic. But I'll probably move on to the other lake tonight, which is a bit closer to that one. So just in case if Adam does get something, I can run round there and yeah, give him a hand and get some action on camera, hopefully. But yeah, I'm looking forward to another enjoyable day in the company of Adam Penning. Lovely jubbly. Right, happy birthday boy.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Cool. Yeah. Okay, 51 today.
Awesome. Don't look it.
I feel it today. Cheers.
Right, you're not where I left you last night. Tell us what happened.
Okay. So the fish moved into a bay which was sort of behind where I was fishing. They moved about 150 yards from where they were the first night, and turned up in a boat. But it's so typical here. They're so mobile, and every time you find them, it's like when you walk in, if you find them in a swim, you can almost imagine a sign by the side of the swim. It would say, "Tonight, live carp show," and then underneath it will say, "For one night only," because they're just, the next night they're gone and they'll set up their little show somewhere else. You know, I'll try and get a ticket every night for it, but sometimes I screw it up. But luckily I had a ticket for it last night, pre-booked and all that, and I managed to get round here. I think I moved about 8 o'clock, it was just getting dark, and the fish had just started to show a fair bit into dark, just quiet little sloshes and that, and got the rods positioned, and on some really nice little rock hard clean spots that I've fished before. There's quite a bit of weed, but there's a bit of activity out there. So I got the rods positioned, put a little bit of bait, just a few spoms onto these clean little dinner plates. Actually, I took the spom off and put on a spod because it's a bit quiet, I can land it on its side. Little bit of bait, and so that was about, probably by the time I had the rods sorted, it was probably about 8:30, something like that. And then and the fish continued showing. They were a little bit to my left, and one of the other guys, Dan, had moved into my left. And anyway, it looked really good. I would have preferred to swim with rods a little bit left, but like there was someone in there, and so anyway, so I sort of sat there, cooked some dinner. By then I'm starving, been on it all day, and I thought, you know what, the fish are out there. There's nothing else I can do. For the first time this year, I'm going to get an early night. So I brushed my teeth, got in bed, and it was about 9:45 when I got in bed, which is like, oh, it's like luxury. I laid down, I thought, oh, an early night for once. And I just sort of got all cushy on my shoulder on one side like that, pulled the bag up because it was nice. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I had to bleep that out, sorry. It was flying, like one of the most brutal takes. I mean, most of the takes on here are like that, but this was like 10 times brutal. And I've got tight clutches. I mean, I always say to people, you should never get flying bites, and I'm fishing as tight as I dare with braid, and it's flying. I come out in such a panic, I didn't even put my glasses on, didn't put my boots on. Normally I'm a bit more organised, I was bricking it. Like I said to you yesterday, every time I get a bite, I can't believe I've got a bite. I came out, and this fish, I couldn't get the rod up. It was flat rodding me all the time. Zzz, zzz, and I'm trying to slow it down. Zzz. Yeah, heart pumping stuff. It was one of the small mirrors, 16 and a half. Lovely, beautiful scaled fish. I've got a couple of pictures for you.
Did you think for a moment it was the one?
I did, because he's not called Tyson for nothing. And when it was going, you think, flipping hell. But once I heard him wallow on the surface out there, and there weren't too much weight to him, and he came in, and I thought, as it was coming in, I didn't think it would be another one of the stocky fish that went in a couple of years ago. But even with those, you know, they're sort of, they don't get caught very often, you know. So I take every one as a bonus, you know. And he's 16 pound, but I get him out and I love him. And I took a couple of pictures of him, and you know, they're special. So so that was that. That was all that happened. They carried on rolling a bit in the night. Got up a couple of times. Last time I was up was 4:15, and they were still in the area. I don't think they're here now. For one night only. You get one chance for one night only, and I think that I've seen a fish show over there, and I don't think it's one random show. I think that because they've been up all night, they don't show much in the day. There's been nothing else showing this morning. What they tend to do is have a really quiet day. It's like you know, if you've been out all night somewhere and then you just get your head down in the day. I don't know what they're doing, whether they're sitting in a weed or what, but quite often after a frenetic night of activity, they're quiet, and today I'll be quiet. But I've seen one, and I'm betting that's where they all are, or the majority of them. So I'm lining up another move in a little while, a few hundred yards over there. See if we can take advantage of the next for one night only show. I need to get my ticket booked in advance, because there'll be people looking for tickets today. I want a front row seat in the mosh pit.
Well, you've had your cream cake, so you've got your sugar buzz.
Tell you what, mate, I mean, what better friend could you have than Joe Morgan, who's got a chocolate, look. I said to him yesterday, joking about a cream cake for my birthday, and he didn't even know it was my birthday, and he must eat these every week. But he had some chocolate eclairs in his bag, and oh, what a treat that was, with a strong cup of coffee. So
I literally can't remember the last time I bought a cream cake.
well, that's just like universe alignment, isn't it? So it's bought us a cream cake, it's bought a carp, and so are you going to fish anywhere today, or?
No, I'm going to keep you company for your birthday all day.
Lovely times, lovely times. You can help me move.
Right, so we've moved around back to the point, in fact.
Yes, mate. These carp run you ragged. I think they think I'm flipping 18. I could do without this, but yeah, they're back round here. They're in a spot that they haven't been in since I got here. When I got here, they were in front of this swim, but they were out there. Then they moved into that bay. Now they've moved across here. They're not too far out on the entrance to the arm at the moment. They might only stay there for a few hours, but we've got to fish for them. I suspect that they're going to start showing in the arm tonight, or maybe in front of here to the left. But we're going to get the rods out, get fishing for them. We've got a bit of sunshine. Good one just bossed just now. There's a few trees. With the blue sky and a bit of sun, I'm thinking we might see a few cruisers, might pinpoint what's in the area, get a bit of an idea what's going on. But in the meantime, let's get 3 rods out.
Right, Ed, I've got a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about, but first of all, what I'd like to know is, does tea taste better out of a cup that hasn't been cleaned for the last year?
No, it doesn't. But what it does mean is when you run out of tea bags, as I always do, when your mug is that bad, you can just pour hot water in it and make a cup of tea without a tea bag.
I suppose the other one is, if you leave that there, no one's ever asking you for a cup of tea, are they?
That is also true, yeah.
Good trick, I'll suss you.
I like that.
Right. One of the things we talk about on Carp Angle is, outside of the tackle box, if you like, a little bit about people's lives, and hopefully, there's little things that people can glean some information from and maybe, apply it to their life and be happier, or,
Positive. Carp Angle spreads positivity everywhere it goes, doesn't it?
We certainly try, and that is one of the reasons why I wanted to keep it on YouTube for free, because I believe there's information that we can give out to people which can possibly be life-changing, not even necessarily for that person, but they might know someone else. In fact, perfect example of this, I've noticed you've got some CBD oil over there.
Yep.
Now I've got a friend who produces it and gives it to people with different ailments, and it's incredible the list of things that it is beneficial for. A couple of fantastic extreme examples. One, there was a girl who got epileptic fits. Every day she'd go into school, she'd have an epileptic fit, and she had to go through all that trauma. Her parents would have to come and pick her up, and it must have been horrible. But anyway, since they've got her on this CBD, she's not had one fit since. And then there was another one, and that was a couple of years ago now. Another one, a guy recently, I think it was his neighbour or something like that, and he was in a wheelchair, and he said, "Oh, what's up with you?" He said, "Oh, I've got these non-cancerous tumours all over my body, all over the bones of my body, and it's so painful. I can't even walk anymore, and the doctors are just giving me painkillers. They've written me off. They're saying there's nothing they can do for me." And so he said, "Oh, have you heard about this oil?" And he said, "Oh, I wouldn't know where to get it." So he went and got him some, gave him some. 3 days later, He rocks up outside his house, walking into town. He's not even on his wheelchair anymore, and he's like, mate, I can't believe, you know, the difference of what you've changed my life. His little boy was holding his hand, and his little boy, look, you know, his face was glowing because he'd got his dad back, as far as he's concerned. So yeah.
Well, that's, I mean, when we started talking about this, probably people are thinking, what, life changing? What are they going to go on about now? You know, but that is quite literally life-changing information.
Exactly.
Isn't it? If
someone knows someone who has epileptic fits, then potentially they can, you know, put them onto this stuff, and it might completely.
Well, the first person that ever mentioned to me about it was you, and I've been taking it since you told me all about its benefits. And I mean, you know a lot more about it than I do, but I mean, right early on, I saw a video of the oil, CBD oil, being put onto cancer cells in a petri dish, and the cancer cells just die under the microscope. I know you know a lot more about the receptors that we all have in our.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm one of these people that kind of reads something or watches something, and it seems to go in one ear and out the other, you know. But yeah, the basis of it is that we've got these receptors, this system in our body, which is designed to use these chemicals for health and repair. Now, the biggest thing that I find that when you mention to people, you know, have you tried CBD oil, they think that it's cannabis.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh no, I can't try that, you know. So there's this stigma about it.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not. There's the, you know, it comes from hemp, most of it these days, and it's 100% non-psychoactive. So you're not going to feel.
And non-addictive.
Yeah, you're not going to feel anything from it. It's just going to work on a physical level in your body to help you, you know. I mean, one of my friends has told me about it for anxiety, and again, like, I'm going to have to give it a go myself, because that's something I've been suffering with a bit lately, you know, the heart palpitations and all that. And he said, look, get on this, and you know, you will not believe the difference it makes. So I think the only thing is, from what I can gather from, you know, speaking to a few people, is a lot of the stuff that comes from the shops or that you can order online is not that strong.
If you want even reasonable strength, you have to pay a ridiculous amount of money for it.
Exactly, yeah. So it's worth doing your research and looking it up. But like I say, obviously everything you want to know is online these days. So that's a good little tip.
It's one of those holistic things that it's got clear medicinal benefits, but your GP won't be prescribing it to you.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not going all conspiratorial and all that, but again, you've told me so many things that are nature's remedies, and there's so much stuff around us which is really good for us. But nowadays, it's chemicals and pills, isn't it, that's sold to us? You know, so you changed my way of thinking, Joe. So, and it's made a difference to me. So
well, I know a lot of kind of bodybuilders or people who work out a lot, they take it these days for, you know,
muscle repair.
Yeah, yeah. What about yourself? Is it just general health?
Yeah, just for general health. Didn't really have any ailments, but when you told me that, I thought, well, you know, you can't have too much good shit in you, can you? So I take it. Yeah, I mean, I take supplements as well. And like vitamin D is a hugely important one, especially in this current climate. It's great for boosting your immunity. I take D, C, zinc, and CBD oil, and it's all. I think you only realise how important your health is when you lose your health, and you know, as we said earlier, you know, I'm 51 today, and it's important to me that I look after my health, because I think it's the most valuable thing that any of us have got, really. And I know and I have known incredibly rich, fortunate people who have been unfortunate insofar as they've had everything, but they've lost their health. And they would give anything to have it back. And you know, it's like, if you can have very little in your life, but if you've got your health, you're a rich person. And
I think with physical health comes mental health, doesn't it? You know,
yeah.
You've got to look after your body and give it the right kind of nutrients for your brain to function properly. And
definitely, yeah, the whole brain function is an important thing. So once you get over, I think 25, your testosterone levels drop significantly year on year. And testosterone plays a massive role in how your whole body works, a huge part of how your cognitive function works as well. And I take natural testosterone replacements, because my body doesn't, at 51, doesn't produce it like when I was 21. So and that's all natural. It's, you know, it's got various.
We just found a secret to Adam's drive. This is why you're up round the lake 5 times.
Look at him, he's
a
charged
night,
up.
moving 3 different swims in.
But you know, that is another thing, that your testosterone is vital, and it drops away significantly from about the age of 25. So I take a supplement for that. But I don't know. It's I think that right now, it occurred to me the other day, right? Do I think I'm a better carp angler right now than when I was 40? Loads better. I'm so much better now than when I was 40 because I've learnt so much, and I can. Will I be a better angler at 60 than I am now at 50? Probably not, because even with them testosterone pills, I ain't going to be climbing everything and running around like a maniac. Probably not. So right now, I'm at my peak, really. Really, at 51, I think I'm in my prime because I'm still active, I'm still able, I'm still fit, and I've got all of the knowledge and wisdom from, hopefully, from the years of doing it. So I know at some point there'll be a decline, but I was talking to Laney about it, you know, he's got a few years on me, and we were talking about how many winters you got left in you, how many good winter campaigns. Is it as few as 10, you know? And he's saying you've got to pick carefully, you know? So yeah, so sorry, I went off on a ramble there, but for me, keeping myself in good order is part of my obligation to my son, who's 7 last weekend, because I can outrun him, you know. I'm fitter and faster than my son, whereas 2 years ago, before I went on a real fitness thing, I wasn't, and I thought, this is no good. Now I'm like, come on, let's get up that, let's do that. And so I have an obligation to River, but there's no doubt in my mind that my fitness has helped my carp fishing. No doubt in my mind, absolutely certain of it. I come across various brilliant anglers who haven't quite got the health, and it's a little bit harder for them for that reason. It's just that lack of energy, or you know.
I mean, to keep up the routine that you do, you fish pretty much 3 nights every week, don't you?
I fish, so out of every 10 nights, out of a 10-week rolling period, probably 6 of them will be 3-nighters and 4 of them will be 2-nighters. But yeah, I'm fishing every week.
And you know, when all right, we walk about a bit and whatever, but you know, you can be quite, you know, sort of static at times, can't you? Especially, you know, if you think you're in the right area and you're sitting on it, and it kind of, I don't know. I think personally, you know, I've done quite a bit of kind of hardcore carp fishing these last couple of years.
Yeah, you have.
Racked up a few extra nights on the bank, and you know, it does ravage you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're living like tramps, you know. Really, you know, I know we've got good quality beds and stuff, but you're out there exposed to the elements, and if you're doing that and you're not eating well, which some of us don't, and you're sleep deprived, and you're doing that week after week, you can see why certain people at the forefront of our carp angling sport look 20 years older than what they are. Won't name any names, but but no, I mean, I know plenty of them. I mean, one guy who's very well known, you know, he went, I think it was the Orient or somewhere, didn't brush his teeth for the entire 5 weeks or something that he was away. Came back, I think, like, if I didn't do it for 3 days, I'd have to shave them and then brush them.
Yeah,
you know, you can't take, you can't take things for granted, like good teeth or whatever it is. You've got to look after yourself, because otherwise it will come knocking on your door. Bad backs, whatever it is, you know, we're strong, but we're fragile if we don't put the right fuel in, aren't we?
Yeah. So what is your routine then when it comes to kind of fitness?
Well, I'll tell you what, you were saying things that we could pass on that could be life-changing, you know, if someone takes this. So this is something that's changed my life. So even though throughout my life I've had periods where I've put on weight because I'm just obsessed with food. Food is my drug. And my wife is the greatest cook bar none in the history of the planet. So I've always battled a bit with my weight. And throughout my life, I've been mostly in and occasionally out of gyms, doing a lot of weights, doing a lot of treadmill and so on, but I've always battled my weight. Let me think, April last year, November 2020, I started a serious fitness thing, going to the gym loads. But April last year, so what's that, 18 months ago or thereabouts, I started doing HIIT training on YouTube, which I know got a massive surge through the whole, that was in the first lockdown.
Is that what Joe Wicks was doing?
Joe Wicks.
Right.
Right. So someone told me about. I'd already heard of this guy, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to try it. I'm at the gym. I've been going to the gym for years. I'm going to try this hit. So I tried it and nearly threw up because it is, you know, it was quite strenuous, and I don't like to give up. But I've been doing hit now since April last year in my kitchen with no equipment. Sometimes I'll fill up a water container and use it for squats, but no equipment. And I can genuinely say that I'm slimmer, fitter, faster, healthier right now at 51 than I have been at any point in my life.
Wow.
From doing hit. So like Joe said, you know, that's a life-changing thing for me. It cost me nothing. Click on YouTube, do the video, and the benefits are just incredible. Honestly, when I'm up a tree now, I sometimes think, can I jump to the next tree? Yeah. That actually has gone through my head. I think, oh, I'm not going to do it, but I could do that, and I probably couldn't. But you just get this sort of, you can just grab hold of a branch and pull yourself up, and your whole agility and your energy and everything just goes up and up. And to the point that, you know, I mean, I am quite sort of driven by it. Like during the week, so tomorrow, Wednesday, Wednesday today, I've got to do it today. You can film it.
It's your birthday, I'll let you off.
I've had a cream cake today, I'll have to do extra. I quite often get me a unhooking mat out or just lay on the wood chip, and I'll do 10 or 12 exercises, 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off. And yeah, it just keeps the core and the abs and everything.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because like, when I'm away, I get into a routine of doing a little bit. You know, it's just 50 sit-ups in the morning, 50 sit-ups in the afternoon, or just 100 in one go. Yeah, when I'm like on my travels and that.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
Sit-ups, press-ups, and you know, I only have to do a small amount each day to keep really good. You know, I'm really kind of toned. Yeah. And you're not hurting yourself. It's not like you said, I've never actually been to the gym, but I imagine if you go to the gym and do a proper workout, you must be feeling that for a couple of days, mustn't you? It's like really taking it out of your body. But if you just do little and often, you don't feel the pain, but you still get the benefits. Yeah,
I totally agree. And I think the thing with the gym is if you are pressing big weights, the attrition that has on your joints, maybe that's why I've got a bad shoulder now from doing that, you know, shoulder press. Whereas if you're just doing what you just said, just using your own body weight, I think it's so much healthier for you. And the thing with HIIT training is because you might go from like doing mountain climbers into bicycle crunches, into running on the spot. And in that minute and a half, you've done like 5 different muscle groups. So your blood is getting forced from there to there to there, back to there, all around your heart, and it's flushing through your body. Whereas if you just go in the gym and you do shoulder press, you're just working that one bit, and that's it, till you go on the next machine. And I think that's one of the secrets of HIIT. I don't know, but I suspect it's because you're doing so many different muscle groups. It's amazing. It's changed my life. If I saw Joe Wicks coming in now, I'll kiss him.
Awesome. Well, hopefully there's a couple of bits there that, you know, someone might benefit from. Back to the session. What are you thinking? What's going on in Adam Penny's mind right now?
Well, you wouldn't want to know, mate. It's a dark old place in there. Well, it's interesting because we've seen carp in a few different areas today. There was a couple of cruises in the bay that we left, but I'm sure that was the right thing to do to leave there. There's a very light trickle of a northwesterly that's been blowing about 3 hours, and I did see one bosh out on the end of that about an hour, 45 minutes ago. Hoping they're not over there because that part of the lake is pretty stitched up. I still think the majority of them are over this side. They do it like, you've probably seen it on lakes, they do it like, although the catalyst for this might be angling pressure, I think they do it naturally anyway, and I call it crop rotation. So they'll just leave an area fallow and they won't use it for 10 days or 2 weeks. And they'll work over, and then when they get back in there, it's heaving with natural. And I think there's sometimes why we can't get bites. They've gone in the bay, everyone fishes from, no one can get a bite because that area it's a very rich lake. It's laying fallow, and everything's coming alive out the bottom, and then they'll harvest it, and then they'll move. And I think either accidentally because of the pressure or deliberately, probably deliberately. I think Simon told me it's called optimal foraging, so it is something they do. But so sometimes it's trying to think. Sometimes I can work out. I usually get it wrong. Wherever I think they are, I usually end up being wrong. I still find them and get on them, but usually my best guess is shit. But where quite often a good thing to do on here is to look at areas where they haven't been for a while, because if they've not been in a part of the lake for a week or two, they're probably about to go there. That's something that I've definitely learned. And they haven't been over this side of the lake for a week and they've turned up here this morning. If they go into here, they've not been in here, as far as I know, for 2 weeks. So I've got my eye very much on them more coming this way, because last week they were going that way. So it's like, you know, you're trying to, ultimately, when the light starts to go, or this evening, or by midnight, or when, at some point they'll probably show, and that's the only definitive thing. So, as you know, life's too short to fish where we think they might be, and then just get fishing and then just wait. Screw that. Well, you wouldn't do that. I don't do that.
Have me moments.
But
it's never right. Do you know what I
No.
mean? Whenever I play that guessing game, it's really never right.
Isn't
It's
that
only when
interesting?
you've
Yeah.
had something to go on.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be like, right, well, the other week when I was out with Frank, you know, I put 2 rods on these pads over the back, and a fish rolled. There's a little bit of bubbling, just sort of 25 yards out of another set of pads. And I just knew, like, I put a rod on there, I just knew that was the one that was going to go, and that was the one that went. You know?
Yeah.
So it's always because of getting some kind of sign, isn't it? And again, this is why it's so important, isn't it? To going back to what you talked about last time I was out with you, just got eyes on the water as much as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote about it recently in the Rotary letter in Carpology
Yeah, I
about
read
the
it, mate.
mobile phone thing, you know.
Yeah.
And
So spot on.
I think we'd catch a lot more if we'd left our phone at home or in the car.
Yeah.
You know, majority of the time when you're fishing. But obviously, in this day and age, we're all addicted to the bloody things.
But you know, we are. But that is actually a good thing, because it's another thing that
Another edge that you can have on everyone
it
else.
is. It is. It's one of those things that are separate. And there's some brilliant young lads on here. But because they're young lads, they're more into their phones than I am. So that virtue of that one thing of me not using my phone and not really needing to use it, so I just do it all in the evening when it's dark. And a lot of the young lads, everywhere I go, they're just on it all day, because this is an addiction. So that's an edge.
Yeah.
And it's massive.
100%, because that one little sign, only a split second, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Constantly could be missing out on them all the time. So.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, mate. Well,
So what are you going to do anyway?
I haven't massively got my fishing head on, but I'm here, so I've got to fish tonight.
A lot of people watching this are probably, you know, if you get to go fishing one night a month, or you know, in the real world that Joe and I are fortunate not have to operate in, you might think that's a bit bizarre. But the thing is, when Joe's fishing head is like my fishing head, you can only really do one thing really, really well. So Joe's trying to put together Carp Angle and all the other things going on in his life, and he's trying to juggle all these different balls and orchestrate things, and then to fish at the high level that Joe does as well, just wouldn't happen. You can't do it, and it's the same for me. So that's what he means. So he's not quite on his game.
Yeah.
But you're still going to probably catch him, even at 50%.
Like last night I got them out, and then I'm having to deal with things for the party this weekend and DJ set list, and then I'm stressing about Carp Angle, and you know, my mind's just not in the fishing, and I think it almost, I don't know, not a waste to be fishing when you feel like that, but you're never going to be at your peak performance.
Yeah.
But having said that, we have got a lovely little lake next door.
Yeah.
There is half a dozen 30s in there. There's some lovely jet black commons and mirrors. So yeah, I'll get them out for the night.
Yeah, you will.
But I'll be round here with you for a bit longer yet, mate.
Well, mate, if we've got a Joe Morgan operating at 50% capacity, I still fear for them carp.
Right then, birthday boy, you've had a nice birthday meal.
Oh, mate, they were the finest gourmet burgers I can remember having. I paid a lot of money for burgers, and I would pay a lot of money for them again, mate. They were amazing. Thank you for that. Amazing. Oh.
More than welcome. Again, you know, I didn't even know it was your birthday until I pulled up here. But
And you just happen to have the God's greatest burgers ready to assemble and chocolate cream eclairs. I mean, Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah,
Awesome.
just incredible.
So the icing on the cake would be Tyson tonight then?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would, but Tyson is my nemesis. He may always be my nemesis, but all I've got to do is just try and catch one tonight. And, you know, it's to catch a fish on every night of a 3-night session is very, very unlikely. So I think to get a bite tonight it's unlikely. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know where they're going to turn up. The lake's pretty still and calm at the moment. I haven't got a bivvy up because I'm expecting to have to move. But yeah, I'll be pushing as hard as I can to try and get myself in position for a bite tonight. You know, it happened last week, so it could happen this week, but we shall see. I'm not unconfident, I'm just being pragmatic.
All right, well, maybe, I remember when I was watching the Reflections piece, you mentioned something about a rig change that was getting you a few extra bottles. You know, you believed it made a good change last year. So maybe in the morning we'll have a little look at that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, we do a little thing on rigs. And I've never detailed or shown one of the rigs that I've used from here before, so...
Carp Angle exclusive.
Yeah. It certainly did me well last year, so it's you know, it's not an armchair thing, so we can talk about that, and maybe we'll both have a carp to talk about as well.
That'd be lovely. Well, I'm not going to be far away because I'm only going to be on the lake next door, so yeah, give me a shout if anything happens, but I am literally shattered after no sleep last night whatsoever, so I think I'm going to go and see if I can find some bubblers, flick some rods on them, get the bed up and try and get an earlier night.
All right, mate, good. Well, good luck, happy hunting, and I'll see you soon.
You too. I've got my fingers crossed for you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
I'll be putting a little request in with the universe before I go to bed.
Please, carp gods. Cheers, bud.
Top of the morning.
Good morning.
Well, very uneventful night round there. There was a few fish showing in the evening, got my rods out sort of nicely. I was very happy with them. Woke up this morning, a little bit of bubbling, repositioned one to the bubbling stopped, and yeah, massive failure on my part. I've renamed myself Willie as well after the 5 losses. Willie Landit.
Willie Landit.
But yeah, so sadly, no birthday carp for you.
No, mate, no, nothing. No, it's it was a frustrating night, really frustrating actually. It was I waited and waited. My rods were still leaning against the tree in the pitch dark till 10:30, getting on for 11 o'clock, and I still hadn't seen anything. And by that point, I hadn't put my bivvy up either, because I thought, well, I'll be moving somewhere. And then when I did sit down, I thought, oh, everything's wet. So then I threw the bivvy up to try and stop it getting wet. It was a damp old night, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
And then I ended up deploying the rods where, it was all I could do, in the area where I'd last seen them, which I did. It turns out I probably wasn't too far away, because this morning, nothing happened during the night, but they were in a similar, well, I say they, I've only seen 4 shows today, but 3 of them at first light were sort of in the neck of this arm where they were yesterday when we moved. And then since I got the rods in here not long after, early in the morning, I didn't move my kit until later, but I got the rods in here early. And another one has shown since then, but it's just one of those days. It's just gone a bit blue and a bit bright, a bit too early, and you feel like bite time's just sort of pinched off, don't you, a bit earlier than it would have been if it was cloudy and drizzly. But
definitely, yeah. As that sun rose this morning, I had to wander around to get my sticks, because I fished a washing line across to the far side.
Yeah.
And in the corner there was probably up to about 10. I'll probably see 6 or 8, and then a couple of little shadows in the light. But yeah, just sitting there doing absolutely nothing.
Right. Well, and then
Which is
east
never a
facing
good
spot.
sign, is it?
Yeah. But it was in the sun, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was early doors. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's never a good sign. I think that September is probably the hardest month in the year now. Every year is the same. September's shocking. Used to be the best, but like I say, if you couldn't get a bite out of there last night, mate, I don't think anyone could. But the good thing was that you got some sleep because you needed it, and I got a bit and I needed it.
Okay, another thing I wanted to just touch on, because I know you were pretty excited about it. The other week you messaged me to say that you were going to take river fishing for his first carp fishing session.
Yeah.
How did it go?
So we went. So we've done a fair bit of fishing, but always with a whip or a float for silvers and so on. He actually caught a carp doing that on our friend's lake by accident, but he'd never done a proper carp session with the bivvy up, and so we did that.
How old is he now?
So he was 7.
Well,
he was 7 at the weekend, so he was 6 when we did this a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, so we went to the lake called the Trad Lake on Suffolk Water Park Complex, which is a great lake for 20s and doubles, and we got set up. I put up it's just insane, this bivvy that I've got. It's just I can actually stand up full height in it. It's just ridiculous, but that's what we needed to do. We've got 2 bed chairs, made a beautiful camp, and I set him up with a Gray's 6-foot 1-piece stalker, and we were putting it underneath some bushes just down there, and he caught more than I could catch fishing a rod on my usual banker spot, and his biggest one that he had was a 23 common, and he caught several that were like 16, 17 pound. I've got these amazing pictures of him holding these because they look enormous on him, because he's, so, and the 23 pounder, he literally couldn't lift off the mat, which made it look even bigger. It was almost like Dick Walker trying to lift Clarissa, when it's laying down there and he's just got his hands under it. And yeah, special times. He loved the whole element of the camping. I said, what's your favourite thing? He said, I love my bed. He said, he liked being able to get in the sleeping bag and eat Pringles in his sleeping bag, and all the things he couldn't do at home. And
but it's such a great adventure for
exactly,
children, isn't it? And I think it's really, really good for parents to take their children fishing. For me personally, I don't know about yourself, but my dad wasn't into fishing. It was literally just from such a young age, because when I was born, like, we lived next to a river until I was about 3 years old or something. Yeah. And even at 3 years old, I'm like, what are these people doing, sitting around here fishing, And can we do that? And I think I was like 3.5 or 4 or something when we moved to Rowhedge, which was only a mile from Snake Pit. And one of Dad's mates did a bit of fishing, and he said he'd take us, Went up there, and I can still remember that first fishing session to this day. I remember I was like a catapult. I was like, let's have a go with that. And I sprayed maggots over all of us and everything, But yeah, magic memories without a doubt.
Priceless.
So it's great to hear that A, you're taking him, and B, that he's loving it so much, because it's not everyone, is it? Not all kids warm to it.
No, absolutely, and certainly I would say if kids don't warm to it, don't make them go again. Because, and I won't take River again until he asks. I want him to do all the other things we'd like, going on a climbing wall or playing tennis together, or, there's loads of things that we love doing. So I'm not going to I don't want him to be a carbon copy of me. I want him to do what he wants to do. But every now and again, we're going to go half-term holiday. So in October, and my brother's going to come as well. And he did a night with me a few years ago. He's not an angler, but he loves camping, and he did really enjoy that. He caught a 17 pounder from Bayswater, and so yeah, we're going to go, the 3 of us, in October. Excellent. And do it again. Yeah, I mean, they're some of the best things you can do, aren't they?
Yeah, excellent. All right, mate. Well, we touched on yesterday the fact that you had a little rig change that you incorporated into your setup last year, which made a big difference. So let's have a brew and let's have a closer look at that.
Okay, mate. Cool.
Nice product placement with the Carp Life logo facing this way, mate.
Well, it can't not face that way. It's on the side of the cup. But yeah, great cup, great coffee. Marks and Spencer's coffee, there's a plug for them.
Right then, mate, rigs. So, give us your secrets.
Oh, I haven't really got any secrets. I use ready tied shop bought rigs off the peg, and that's it. I put a tutti frutti on and cast. No, I'm only joking. So so last year, when I started fishing on here, it's the same with any lake really. You get a lot of pair of kingfishers just went past. You get a lot of trends on lakes, and probably the biggest trend at the moment everywhere is super stiff, rigid resetting booms. They're the most fashionable thing, aren't they? Because they're cool. And I thought, well, what I want to do is achieve the opposite of that. So I wanted my rig to lay in a heap on the bottom with a really soft boom. So for the entirety of the year, I just used what is effectively a reverse combi link. So I keep the stiff, or as I call it, the pro, as my mate Ben Gratwick calls it, the prong. I keep stiff and attached to the bait, but then I have a lump of putty just outside the prong, which the rig can move independently of. I used to put the putty on the end of the prong. Caught loads like that. It does work. I hate when people say I caught loads. It worked really well with the putty on the end of the prong, but then as the season progressed, I ended up putting it a couple of mil below the prong, so that the prong has complete 360 uninhibited movement in every direction. But then the boom itself is tied just out of pure, soft, uncoated braid, thick and strong, sinking, but just totally soft. It's got a bit of putty on, little mouse dropping, but so when it drops down, the rig will sit like just on top of that braid. It's not going to extend or do anything like normal rigs do. And then when you pick up the hook bait, the hook point should drop down every single time when you pick the hook bait up. I mean, I've used loads of different types of hook baits on here. A lot of fish do get caught on bright ones, but the key is I want that stiff section to lay flat like that on the bottom, and then for the hook point to drop down like that as soon as you lift the bait. It also works obviously really well if you want to put a pop-up on it, because then it's just it's like a hinge stiff in there, I suppose, but it can float in any direction. So whichever way the fish is coming from, it's got unimpeded access straight into the mouth without, obviously if you've got a really stiff rigid boom and your hook bait's on the end of it and the fish comes this way, it's got to almost bend the boom back on itself. It's not going to have loads of free unimpeded movement, in my opinion. So you can debate all day about whether things really make a difference. You know, I mean, sometimes, you know, if it's a sharp hook and a good bait they're willing to eat and it's where they are, you could probably catch the carp on any number of rigs. So I'm not saying this is the thing, but what I am saying is that this is what I used all of last year, and it caught me quite a lot of fish which are very, very shy feeders. One in particular, which I mentioned yesterday, is he gets caught so rarely they thought he was dead, and he's a 50-pound common, or 49-pound when I caught him, and 48 some. I caught him twice on this rig, you know. So that tells me something, and quite a few other fish. I mean, one of the most special fish I caught last year, one of my favourite fish from this lake ever, never weighed it, but it was about 17 pound, but it's a black, what the cool kids call cricket backs, I think they call them, or something, but it was just this black, ancient, old common, cataracts in both eyes, unblemished, perfect, blackened mouth. His barbels were so old and they had split into all different, like tree roots on the ends, and all his fins were, it was just the most amazing, to this day, arguably the best fish I've ever caught from this lake, because no one knows it even exists. People who have been on here, like Ed Betteridge, like a good mate of mine, he's been on here 10 years, didn't know it was in here. No one even knows it was in here. I've never seen it in the water, but so to me, they're the real special ones. And again, you know, that this is the rig I caught that fish on, and Geordie twice, and you know, various others. So it did the job. I put a bit of foam on it to stop it tangling on the cast, because obviously it's got a very, well, totally fluid, supple boom section. And you can change the hook baits, you can fish a pop-up on it. I usually fished it with a balanced bottom bait on these rock hard little shingle and clay spots that I would spend a lot of time trying to find, and I'd fish those as tightly and accurately as I could with this rig, with anything from half a tiger nut with a bit of plastic on it, or trimmed down boilie, or a bit of, is it a wafter or a wafter? I don't really know, but you know, whatever I felt was right for the situation. But yeah, that's the rig. It's what I call the prong. So for you guys watching, so it's a whipping knot onto the hook. Tag end I've used to form a D. The bait is attached to a little thinking angler's ring swivel, which gives it loads of nice movement. And then the bristle filament comes out the eye, and as Joe correctly said, it terminates in an Albright knot. I've joined the braid to this with an Albright knot. So I folded the prong back to make a little eye, then I've whipped the Albright and then pulled it all down tight, and I've covered it with a little bit of shrink tube. Lump of putty just outside that, which I'm sure causes a massive problem, something that I put on my bottom bait rig since I think I did an article for Anglers Mail in about 1999 on it, and it's, you know, I'm convinced on it. And something which is very unfashionable, which is a very soft floppy boom.
And the putty's not wrapped round anything, it's just straight onto the braid?
That putty is actually over a little float, one of them tungsten little stops, just to hold it in place. This one isn't, that's just squeezed on there.
Very neat and tidy, and has proven itself countless times. Lovely jubbly. Oh, you've got my best side here, you got to swap round, mate. Don't matter your head, does it? Well, thank you very much for having me down.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolute pleasure to spend a couple of days with you, as always, mate.
Thank you, mate, always, yeah. Look forward to the next one, always. I mean, just your company's enough, but to have fed me the way you have as well and entertained me as always, so thank you very much, and yeah, privileged to be on Carp Angle.
Mega. Well, hopefully, or potentially next time we get out, maybe just leave the cameras at home and we can just focus on having a nice social and enjoying a bit of fishing.
That'd be nice.
Awesome. Thanks again, Adam. Lovely to see you, mate.
Much love. Cheers.
Good luck with Tyson. Hopefully it ain't, you know, like, what's his name? Bruno and Tyson. He never got his battle in the end, did he?
No, he didn't. No. Like I say, it'd probably be my nemesis, but I bloody love trying.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lovely to see you, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
Take care.
I'll tell a quick one. It's quite quick, this.
Oh, good.
Right. Well, mad things that's happened. I've had so many things. I've had all kinds of disasters. Baiting needles stuck up in my back up to the hilt where you could only just see the ring where the isotope would go in. I've had untold things, but this one was quite funny. I went fishing on Birch Grove, probably 1983. And it was winter time, and we'd been on that like a carp society type do at that Landinrod Wells, and you know, we were talking about birch, and me and my mate decided to go, even though it had been snowing and a lot of places were frozen, because we were meant to fish at Landinrod Wells, but it was froze solid. It had a lid on it. So we couldn't fish, and then we thought, oh, we'll go past Birch Grove. We'd never fished Birch Grove before. And it wasn't well known about then. It was before Tim Paisley got it and everything, you know. And there was a little select band of Shropshire lads fishing it, and John Lilly was one, and Brian Garner. The Secret Society were on it, you know. And I knew from me research that you could get a day ticket for about, you know, £5. So me and my mate decided to call in Paul and fish, and Brian Garner was on, and John Lilly, and another bloke, I think it might have been Roy Stellard, someone like that, and they wanted it to themselves. And old Lilly comes round, Lil, and he goes, aye Warwick, he went, what are you doing on here? He says, there's no day tickets on here, you know. Oh, no. I says, well, I've got one here. I said, I've just got it off the owner, off old Gwilt. I says, on your bike. So we were having a bit of a chat, and I says, what baits have you, I bet you lot are on tiger nuts, aren't you? He said, oh, no. And we knew they were, because they were the new cult bait that had just started being used at that time. And I knew a bloke that was fishing there that had said. Anyway, we go on there, and he says, "Oh, you won't be catching anything. It's rock hard at the moment." And that. So I went down on the right-hand side, and I tried the board swim. It was called. It wasn't called that then. We set up, and then about 10 o'clock at night in the dark, I've got one. It was Baltic. It was really, really cold, you know, because it had been snowing elsewhere, and we didn't have adequate gear in them days. Everything was shit, you know. Sleeping bags were terrible. It was an ordeal every night you did. So I was absolutely freezing to death. And my mate, he was frozen. I was desperate. I just had a fish, so we photographed it in the dark. I thought, right, I had one of them little blue camping gas cookers. You know, we use butane now, but this was like, I don't know what it was in that. They were crap. It'd take about 3 days to do a brew. And in the winter, it used to stop working almost. You know, it's like a candle would have brewed your kettle faster. So I thought, shit. So I'm trying to do a brew, and I'm huddled over this cooker, trying to get what heat I can out of it. I thought, oh, bollocks to this. I've had enough. I had a brand new spare cylinder, so I'd done it many times before. Bear in mind, I'd got a Kevin Keegan perm at the time and a bit of a porno moustache going on. I got one of them thermal one-piece suits, and so I'm sat in this crap bivvy, and I thought, I'll do my old party trick. I'll just light the cylinder with my lighter. So I unscrewed the top off it and put a new cylinder on it, and I got the other one, lit it, and there's a giant explosion. It was like a giant flamethrower. It exploded in my face and instantly vaporised my hair. So all my quiff on my perm and all that, you know, when you get that smell of burning like hair. My eyelashes went, my eyebrows, and my moustache was incinerated instantly. So my head's on fire basically with this, like, put your head in a flamethrower. So I do a running dive straight into the lake. So, I mean, I always joke about it. The flames were that bright, and with the fireball, I said John Lilly and Brian Garner seized the opportunity to rebait while I was on fire lighting the lake up, and with the tiger nuts. And yeah, everyone thought it was hilarious. Anyway, I didn't have any photographs taken of fish for quite a while after that, till it all grew back, because you don't even want to know, like, it would have been hilarious. If I could have just got a photo now and showed you of me looking like that, it was just ridiculous. It's like when you get one of them bald-headed wigs on at the front, then you got hair at the back like a clown. So yeah, well, not the best trick I've ever done. And I mean, I'll tell you something quick. I was in France with Chris Thompson, all the boys, and we're on a lake there, and it was crap. It was fishing terrible, unless you were on the dam where they're having them. And the owner came round. He was lovely. He gave us his homemade champagne and some of his homemade slow gin. And then we had bottles of whiskey. It was freezing in the winter, and we had a last night barbecue, which got out of hand. You can imagine. You know, the owner came round. He was shocked when his crates of champagne had gone and all his stuff. We drank everything. We were roaring drunk, and me and my lad were there. And Chris Thompson had got a brand new barbecue. It was like an oil barrel, all plated metal. He'd spent €250 on it, big jazzy wheels on it and that. He was dead chuffed with it. So him and his mate Al, who's a bit of a connoisseur of food, he'd done all these special kebabs with everything on, you know, big prawns on and everything. And I'm a marker pyrotechnic. I like the odd explosion. So we're in full flow with all the kebabs on and everything, and I says, hey, check this out. And I got one of these gas cylinders that I'd just unscrewed because we were going to be packing up, and I chucked it on the barbecue, and it was virtually full. I thought it'd be a bit of a fizz and a pop. Oh no. When I say this, don't ever, 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 ever do this. We only stood 10 feet back and just hid behind my bivvy. They all ran, they all screamed. They're more sensible than me. They realised what I'd done was pretty stupid. I thought it'd be a bit of a skull and a bang. I shouldn't have done it because there's food on it anyhow, but there was the biggest mother of a blast I've ever heard in my life. It was like an IRA bomb going off. Because I reckon they heard it 10 kilometres away. Some of our mates were 400 metres away on the other side of the lake. One of them reckons he blew it off. He got blown off his bed chair. It was raining tinfoil for about 2 minutes afterwards, and some of the skewers we found were stuck in trees, or we never found most of the food, it just vanished. And Chris's 250 quid barbecue was just demolished. It blew the steel out of it and everything. And the can, when it took off, had punched a hole in one of the side plates. It was like a cannonball had hit it and dented really solid metal, facing right towards where me and my lad was. So if that hadn't been there, it had probably nailed us. But the blast, oh my God, you felt the shockwave through your chest and everything. And it was like a £1,000 bomb. That's what it was like. It's the only way I could describe it. So don't ever do that one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm crying.
Yeah. That'll do then, won't it?
Right, you'll have to excuse the poor audio. The microphone's been playing up a bit. Rather than risk it cutting out, might as well just use the one that's on the camera. Oh, I've got a massive buzz on. Came to Longreach today. The main bank was pretty busy, and I was getting a little bit despondent. I had a little look over the shallow, had a cup of coffee with Leon, and then came back to Longreach, walked along the far side, got up this end and climbed up a tree, and I could see a couple in the edge, and then see probably about 5 in the end. Nothing big though, all sort of small stockies. But it's not often you get to see them close up in it. I've come round to this swim, and there was a couple milling about on the top, so I climbed up this tree here. Right, first of all, starburst, which sadly came out last week, but that's one of my targets. It's literally been 3 rod lengths out down here, and then I thought, oh, I've got to get rod up, no, sit on your ends. It's so rare to get to see them close up in it. You might get to see the friendly common, because the friendly common, people are still unsure whether it's even still alive, even though I'm pretty sure I saw it last year. I wasn't 100% by the end of the year, do you know what I mean? I talked myself out of it, that it could have been another big common. Anyway, so I stayed up that tree for a bit longer, and lo and behold, after about 10 minutes, in come the friendly common, gave Starburst a little barge, and they both swam off together. So that was my cue. I've just got 2 short, beefed up zigs out there, and a little bar just down to the right here. I don't want lines going out across the swim, you know, I've just literally got them pretty close in, but just on that bar, so it's probably, one's in about 5 foot of water, so it's probably in half depth, and the other one's probably in about 6 foot, so just under half depth. But I'm thinking the water's so clear, even though they're on the top, sure, if they're milling about and they see that little zig, it's a good chance they'll drop down that couple of foot and have it. But if not, obviously I'll put a couple of longer ones on there. But I had these ones tied and had one on the same setup recently, so you can see them out the back there. The friendly commerce is in town. Oh, I'm proper buzzing, right. I should be getting some footage of them from up the tree, but I don't want to risk spooking them, so I apologise for that. But at the moment, the priority is trying to catch one. I won't lie, I am absolutely crapping myself. Such a buzz to see that fish, and to know it's alive still. It's funny, when I was up the tree, see it, when I just clocked it, these 2 women came along walking a dog, and I heard her say, "Oh, do you want to get in and have a little wash, Poodles?" or whatever its name was. And I was like, "Oh, no, please don't." And they're like, "Didn't see you over there." I was like, "Oh, there's a fish down here. We didn't even know if it was still alive. Like, please don't let your dog jump in now." Thankfully, they, after the scare, they laughed about it and said, "Yeah, no problem." Kept the dog out of the water. I've got 2 rods down there, just like stones on the spools, because I didn't even want to make the disturbance of pushing like a stick into the gravel, you know. I'll tell you what, I don't know whether it's healthy or this adrenaline or not. Answers on a postcard. Well, it's an absolutely stunning morning on Longreach, albeit a little bit chilly. Another frost last night, even though I thought we'd had the last one. Those fish did hang around until sort of sunset really, and then drifted out. It's been a couple of shows this morning, sort of kind of in my zone, but further out than I'm fishing. And then a few out sort of off the back of the ramp in the middle of the pond. Gorgeous morning, but it'd be even more gorgeous if the friendly common was sitting in my sling. It's going to get warm today, so I think there's a good chance they're going to come back up here. So I think what I'll do is I'll give it another hour or so and then bring them in a bit closer so there's not lines going out across the swim. And yeah, I think it's probably going to be all about the zigs, but I'll leave one on this bar to my right here on a big bag, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, what a day. Not happy at all. So this morning, it's now like early afternoon. In the morning I was waiting for these fish to turn back up, and I had a couple of little liners on my middle rod, so I got up a tree to see if anything was about. And a good common came through, and I saw it spook off my line, so I thought, right, I'm going to wind that further one in and then slacken these off a little bit. And then I got back up the tree again and saw friendly common again. So I thought, right, get out of this tree, just sit down, be quiet and wait. It's on the cards. 4 magpies in the tree behind, 4 for a boy. Friendly's got a bit of boy. Yeah, so anyway, a couple of guys come around, Tony Moulder and his mate, and they were sitting here. One of my rods was gone, and I was sort of so, like, in a panic, I just didn't even know which rod it was. Do you know what I mean? Looked round thinking it was going to be the right hand one, but it wasn't. Anyway, picked the rod up, it was kiting to the right, then it's kited around to the left, and there's a tree out here, so I've just walked straight in the lake, trainers, trousers, everything on. Managed to turn it round, got it away from the bush, and the hook just popped out. The point was bent over, so it obviously hit the bone, and yeah, excuse my language, but absolutely sick. After all the work and effort I put in lately, and then to see that friendly yesterday, then to see it this morning, and then to lose one, I just don't know what to say. Devastation to the nation. Just drowning my sorrows and prayed that wasn't the one I was after, and that he's still going to come along this afternoon. Sick. I told you I had like bad anxiety from messing up that feature the other day, formatting the cards. Well, now, like, oh my god, it's just got worse. It's just come back. I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack or a panic attack or something. But yeah, could do with a fish to probably fix that. Well, this fella is 100% not welcome today. Nearly gave me a heart attack. Massive old tench. Not really doing it justice, but he's probably getting on for 9 pounds. Rubbish. Well, it's another absolutely stunning morning at Longreach. There's all mist dancing across the surface. But more importantly, we've got a carp in the bag. I had a nice little stocky a few hours ago. Put up quite a good scrap considering the size of it, but yeah, it's a lovely fully scaled. So give it another half hour. Let the old hands warm up a bit and a bit more light, and we'll get him out and have a little look at him. But yeah, the weather's going to be really good today for this area. It's going to be even warmer. So yeah, it won't be long before I reel those longer rods in. Get the lines out of the way, and hopefully those other big uns will return today. But yeah, chuffed to catch one. Result. Well, he's absolutely crapping out snails. The sling is full of them. Tiny little baby ones. Oh,
mussels and snails. Carl, wouldn't fancy passing them, would you? Mega little carp. Might even be the one that I caught last year, the first one I had out of here, but I'll have to check my pictures to be 100% sure. Yeah. Consolation prize for yesterday's dramas. As I say, today looks really good. There's a very good chance they're going to drift back up here. I've got a new spot now, which is where I had this one from. Yeah, so as long as I can work things right, we've got a good chance of another carp. Hopefully, it's that friendly. There you go, look at you. Show off. Look at that. Oops. Mint little carp. Mega. Alright, let's get you back, mate. Well, another gorgeous morning on Longreach, albeit blooming chilly again. Don't think there was quite a frost last night though, which is a relief because there has been every other night I've fished lately. But yeah, I thought I'd stay in this corner again for one more night just because I'd had that fish 2 nights before off that margin and just felt like there was a chance, you know, like building that spot, keeping the bait going in. So yeah, sat it out and went to bed last night. Had a bite at 1 AM and we got another little one. Quite unlucky really to get 3 small ones in a row, but this last couple of days there's been a new guy turned up. He had a 28 common and a 30 common, both of which I did have last year, and then there's another guy further along who had a 29 common. So yeah, as you can see, pretty unlucky to catch 3 stockies on the trot, but yeah, this is an absolute cracking one. And hopefully 3 small ones means the next one should be a big one. Well, there we go, look at that for an absolutely stunning Longreach stocky. Mad little patch of scales above that row of mega big apple slice scales there. Yeah, little cluster of pearls. Cracking little carp, and this is a male, this one, because he's just already starting to get his spawning tubercles. It's that time of year. Hopefully it's not going to be too soon though. Hey, Randy's just got out again. Right, I'm going to get a couple of quick snaps of this little beauty, then we'll get it back. There we go. Awesome. Well, like I said before, you know, 3 small ones in a row. Probably a good chance the one I lost was a good one, but hopefully the next one will be a very special one. Sab next door, he caught a £30 common last night, which was £25 last year, and it was the one that got in there first when the friendly was feeding, so maybe he hangs around with the friendly, and yeah, hopefully it's still around and that wasn't the one I lost. Right, let's get this little darling back in the lovely clear water. Right, you go off out that way, keep away from my zone. Look at that. Beautiful. Well, you'll have to excuse the boring in the bivvy shot, but it's quite windy out there and I've still only got the mic that's in the camera. So after this morning, I've ordered another one, by the way. It's already at home waiting for me. So yeah, after this morning, after putting that fish back, sat there for a couple of hours, looked at the weather on my phone. I could see that it's going to be getting a lot colder over the next couple of days. There'll be a pressure drop, a full moon, and it just didn't really feel like that was the place to be. There was a couple of shows this morning, not far off the ramp, so you know, normally if they're showing in that zone, I know there's a good chance out here, so I moved round to here. Literally only just got the rods out. It's getting on. It's probably about half hour off sunset. But yeah, cold northeasterly blowing in here. I feel like I've been on holiday the last few days over there in the beach. Such a relaxing swim to be in. Lovely view and very comfortable as well. Not like the lethal slopes that we've got here. But you've got to be where you feel you've got to be. Hopefully I haven't messed up, because if someone goes in there and has that friendly comment, I'll be sick. But that's the way things go, isn't it? Hopefully I've made the right move. Only time will tell.
Right, now, what started me off, I suppose like most people, started off like fishing rivers, catching the old gudgeon and the old bleak. And then obviously you progress, you might catch a perch, 5 or 6 hours, oh yeah, look at that. And I think I was catching a few tench as well along the way. And I suppose it wasn't until a few years on, my local lake, Brookfield Lane, quite a famous lake actually. It was a good fish by Ivan Marks, who was back in his day was a top match fisherman. But they'd stocked it with carp, and I think at the time the boilies hadn't been out, the Warwick wasn't even out then. So I'm going back some many years. And it was luncheon meat or floating crust, anchored crust in fact. And I can remember my first ever encounter with anchored crust. I was letting it up, and letting it up, and letting it up, and I thought, well, hold on. I've got a carp, and by today's standards, obviously it wasn't massive, and it was probably about £4. But I think it was that adrenaline rush, that fight that started me on the road to carp fishing. And I'd have a fit and fur in the winter for pike, but I'd always revert back to the carp fishing. Sometimes a bit of bream fishing, I must admit, but all in all, just carp for me. And as they grew bigger and bigger in Brookfield Lane, it was, I think I caught the lake record at the time, 17.5 pound. In fact, I've got a picture of it, and it's like a football. But after that, it just like drove me on and on. And even nowadays, it's just like, I think a lot of it's being outdoors, but it's the adrenaline rush of that fight, and seeing the fish in the net, and you unfold it and you look and you think, oh, bloody hell. And I think the day that when you part that mesh, that feeling ain't there, you know, fishing, you've lost it in fishing. But every time I catch one, my heart goes, as soon as that one bleak's like, but no, that's what drives me on. And there's still a lot of special fish out there to catch. Life's so short, and that pans me on to earlier what I was saying, so make the most of it, I think. Yeah, that's what I would do. Thank you.
Well, that's it for episode 14. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed it enough that you'd like to see more of it, then hopefully you'll consider a little contribution towards the fund. I've been called all sorts of names over this project. Greedy, money grabber. Yeah, I've had quite, not loads, but you know, probably half a dozen people kind of accusing me of such things. It's hard to kind of, you know, get my head around that myself. Potentially, you know, one way of looking at it is that we all kind of value our time by the amount we get paid per hour, or lots of people do anyway. So if your working time is worth that much per hour, how much is your own time worth. You know, if this is something that you enjoy watching and it's giving you information and entertainment and inspiration, then surely that's got to be worth a few quid each month. Obviously, you know, some people don't want to support this financially, and that's absolutely fine. But if you've still enjoyed watching it, then you could do us a huge favour by simply sharing it through your own social media, or giving it a like, or having a comment on here. These algorithms, yeah, it's all about getting traffic to your page to get it higher up there. So anything you can do to help us with that is also massively appreciated. So yeah, once again, thank you for your continued support, and I'll see you next month.